Welcome to In Her Own Name, where women stop whispering their greatness and tell the power of their own stories, with your host, Lillian Ogbogoh. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever in the world you are, and welcome to another episode of In Her Own Name. Now, this is a space where women stop whispering their brilliance, and you know who I am. If you don't, I am your host, Lillian Ogbogoh, and today I'm speaking to a woman who's not only building systems, but she is redesigning access and equity and legacy from the ground up. I am talking about the incredible Nanna Saoirse Soenya, who is the founder of OmegaSeven Global, a female-focused organization committed to building ecosystems where women thrive. She's also the creator of the FundHerShip Grant Initiative. This is a self-sustaining funding model that offers Black and Brown women in the UK access to a grant of 10,000 pounds to fund their business, projects, or community idea. She is known as a mother of systems, and today we get to explore how she is disrupting traditional models and creating spaces for women to lead, build, and belong. So let's welcome Nanna. Hey, Nanna.
Hi, Lillian. Thank you so much for having me. Very excited.
Oh, you are so welcome. I am honored that you're on the show, and I have so many questions. So we will start at the top.
Great.
I have you down as the mother of systems.
Mhm.
And that doesn't just sound powerful because it reflects the work that you do, but where did that name come from and what does it mean to you?
In in the thought process of presenting myself to the world and the work that I do and the way that I think and the way I move, it was it came about because it's not just about creating systems that people work through. I
Right,
am somebody who is constantly thinking about how all systems work.
right,
Systems within the home, systems within interpersonal relationships, systems within our society, local, national, global.
right.
So systems are part of the way that I process, right? So that's how that name has sat well with me as the mother of systems. I'm not the mother of all systems, but but yes, it's something that I've matured into because when it
Okay.
first came up, I was like, oh wow, that sounds quite, you know, opulent, ostentatious, and but actually, it speaks directly into I've always been a motherly person. I've always been maternal around everybody. And so that other side of it as well, the way that I look at things, the way that and now that I am an actual mother and how I process that. So it's the two things married together, the maternal side of me and also the things that I process through systems. So that's how that name came about.
I love that. I love the way that it's weaved into not just what you do, but who you are.
Mm,
And when we start talking about who you are, we will have to take a step back
mm.
because we need to go back to the beginning and say, what led you to build the OmegaSeven Global? What was that moment that made you realize you couldn't wait for change, that you had to be the mother to create it?
Mm. Ever since I was a teenager, it's far back, I knew that I was going to dedicate my life to helping people.
Mm,
When I was a teenager, I thought it was more like helping the poor and feeding the lowly and all of those things. But as time went on, and I began my journey specifically through to Mexico, and thinking I was going to do one thing and going through a whole process of learning and realizing that some people just have to build the things that don't exist,
mm,
right? Some people, it's just some people, you can't wait. Not everybody can wait. It's not everybody's capacity, but not everybody can wait. So OmegaSeven Global has been a lifelong journey. When I first went to Mexico, I started an organization called OmegaSeven. And this
right,
seems to be like a rebirth, a full circle moment when it comes to what OmegaSeven Global stands for and is doing. So
right.
it wasn't just a one moment, it's the culmination of my whole life that's come to this place to say, right now I can stand well in building this that is going to sustain, that is going to help, that is going to build bridges, that is going to create things that are yet to be created. And I have to sit with that responsibility as well. So
I like that. I like that a lot. And just hearing that is making me think that you've had this journey that has taken you all over. And I think you dropped in there that you moved to Mexico. What
mhm.
was the thing that made you get up and go, London, I love you, but I've got to go? And why Mexico?
Okay, so again, it's always starts from way back when. I wasn't born here, I was brought here. And when I was brought here, I was like, immediately no. From the age of 7, I was like, when, oh Lord, will you release me from this? So that's how it went. But like I said, in my whole life, I thought I was going to be helping people. And then I felt the call because I discovered through my life that there were women that were being exploited through
Mm,
what we call the commercial sexual exploitation.
wow.
And then I arrived in Mexico to work as a volunteer in an organization called Coalition Against Trafficking of Women. It's a long-standing organization. It still exists today. They operate in Mexico and in Eastern Asia, mainly in a few places in Africa. And I worked with them because they were the only organization that were also working to abolish the commercial sexual exploitation of women as something that women chose to do
Right.
vis-a-vis prostitution. So I started working with them. And at that point, I didn't know about the commercial sexual exploitation of children. And that I found that out in Mexico. And as I found that out and I was put through sort of like a crash course of going to events, trainings, stakeouts, all of those things, that crash course then led me to say I had to dedicate my life to helping these children.
Right.
And that is what happened in me arriving in Mexico. So it was a call. I thought when I was going, I thought I'm going to be helping one girl every now and then, come out of this, walk her through life. And then, and then all of a sudden I arrived and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a much bigger thing. And this is even
Right.
before the rest of the world had heard about what was going on in Mexico. This
Mm.
is back in 2007. So yeah, that's how my journey to Mexico began. And that's where I found the place where I call home. I call home in a strange way because Mexico is a beautiful country, but it's not an easy place, especially
Mm.
when you are wanting to affect deep change, you know. So yeah.
That is a deep call, and that is a really a journey arc that you've done. And I take my hat off to you. That is an amazing work that you're doing. And that's not just all that you do. We have the FundHerShip grant that we want to talk about. And you run these programs and you're building ecosystems. For
Mm.
you, how do you define an ecosystem where women thrive?
Okay. Whenever I think of an ecosystem, I love permaculture. I love biodynamic farming. That's another side of me. I learned a lot about permaculture. That's what I look to do, grow my
Right.
own stuff. Within permaculture, everything is about an ecosystem where different plants live well next to each other, benefit each other, move with each other, and that they self sustain in a way where where the work is minimal for it to thrive.
Right.
So whenever I think of an ecosystem, I look at that. And when I think of ecosystems for women, that's how I want to build them in a way where they become a self-sustaining entity that just causes itself to thrive. Every now and then you need to prune a little bit, you need to cut down a little bit, but you've created a base that allows the things inside, and this time the women inside, to thrive. So that's how I think of ecosystems.
I like this. It's a symbiotic relationship in place. It's women working with each other. It's for those who don't speak permaculture.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
it's
it's women not just working with each other, it's women working with each other's strengths. We're helping each other, collaborating with each other. I feel that in our community, as Black and Brown women especially, there's a lot of fragmentation. There's a lot
mm,
of talk about unity, but there's a lot of fragmentation. And you cannot thrive in a fragmented way. But if
yeah,
you are able to build within joint ventures, collaborations that actually are mutually beneficial, when you're able to do those things, you can thrive. It's that simple. It's just allowing people to have the space, not just to dream, but to take the action that is required.
Yes, I
Very,
like this. And I think it's actually also important for women, especially, but especially Black and brown women, to actually be able to sit and dream because we don't get that luxury enough. We
no.
don't get that luxury to just sit and dream
Mm,
because we've been programmed to do all the time.
yeah.
And so I like the permaculture idea spoke to me because I grow things and I get it. And it's like this whole, we work better together when we're like
Yeah,
this.
we do. We do. And no, nobody's an island. No man is
No.
an island, no woman. And it's really important to learn how to work together, right? I've always loved that. Whenever I've led a team,
Hmm.
I've always studied them enough to know who works well where and allowed them to do what they need to do. I am not interested. Because why would I do what you do if you can do it better than me? I do
Yes.
better. Sorry, I do better if I let you do what you do best. You know,
Yep. So
that's
you get to shine, they get to shine, and everything gets done.
we're all shining.
Yes.
That's the thing.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes absolute sense. And so we kind of dropped the FundHerShip Grant Initiative.
Mm,
And to me, it's revolutionary. It's not just for the amount it gives, but the structure behind it.
mm.
We've talked about what inspired you to create those systems, but what made you say that amount and for Black and brown women, making it something that self-sustaining that they can access?
Well, because the funny thing is, the £10,000 came about because when I really started being here in London begrudgingly and going to events and stuff and work and hearing people and my friends that had been here, both old and new, all the women, repeatedly people, if I just had 10 grand, if I just had all I need is 10 grand. I'm doing this thing. I've worked it out. I need 10 grand. All I need is 10. That's all I would hear. And I was like, okay, that's really interesting.
Mm,
£10,000 in our world today, honestly speaking, is a breath of relief. It
yeah,
is not a solution, right? It just allows you to breathe to a certain place because for anything to thrive, let's say a business, you need at least 25,000 to start. So £10,000 is not even covering it. It's just allowing you to think about things.
yeah,
And so that's where that came from. And this model is not my original conception, let's say. I saw this grant in the US. It's called the Amber Grant. I always give them props for this. They've been going for 28 years and they started out giving, I don't know, $1,000 28 years ago. And now they give out 3 grants of $10,000 every month,
right,
right? And their model it's for all women. For me, I decided to focus on Black and brown women because here, historically, it is written into law that Black and brown women have been historically marginalized when it comes to money.
right.
So that is something that I can focus on and do because that is the truth. All women suffer from the patriarchal act of not giving us money, but Black and brown women even more, right?
Yeah,
So that's the process. And the reason why I did it here, again, I wasn't going to. I was like, I've been called to Mexico. This isn't not my monkey, not my circus. You know, I'm not going to do this. I just need to leave. I just need to go. And I felt like I wasn't being allowed to leave.
right,
The experiences I was having as not finding funding for myself because when I was in Mexico, I always find a way. I always find funding. I always find a way. But here it was just like, no, 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 no. And I was like, is it me? Because I know I haven't been here for a while. You know, maybe it's me.
right.
I'm the
No, it's not
problem.
you.
I'm the drama.
Yeah,
Come on, you know, but it wasn't me. It's a systemic issue. And I was like, okay, well, there must be something out there that could be helping us. There must be something. And honestly, there was nothing. I was like, grants, finance, all these things. And I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find anything that was actually substantial.
right.
And also, the two questions is important because this is to prove that you do not need to ask me the same question in 5 different ways to find out whether or not I know what I'm doing. And I believe that over scrutiny, that over policing, that over exacting of women in all areas, especially when it comes to getting finance, it needs to stop. And I did not want to re victimize the women that I was helping. That was the thing as well. Yeah.
You know what? That is a good thing. And I have applied for that grant. I haven't gotten it yet, but I love the fact that it's a simple form. Is it, like you said, it's not asking the same question 40 million times in 40 kind of tweaked way to make you think, am I being gaslit by this form?
Being gaslit by this form.
Yeah. So I appreciate you for that. And it's necessary. And I've seen the good work that it's doing. I've seen the responses. I've seen the women who are applying. I know in my circle and network, people talk about this, and which is why we are here today. And we know funding isn't just about money,
No.
it's about belief.
Yeah.
And let me ask you, what has surprised you the most about the women who apply and the kind of dreams you're trying to build?
Um, I think it's not a surprise necessarily. It's sobering.
Mm.
It's a sobering affirmation of what I have learned to be true. And that is that Black and brown women are extraordinary
Mm.
in their visions, in their pursuit, in their ambition. And it's painfully surprising because there is no reason why women shouldn't be funded. These women shouldn't be funded. There is no reason why.
I
And
agree with
it's
you.
painful because currently I can only give one grant. And every month I get a bunch of women getting in touch with me saying, what did I do wrong? And I know that is because of what they have previously lived. And I have to remind them, you are not the problem. The lack of money I have is the problem. You have done well. The way they answer, the way they, and obviously I do not deliberate, but I have to look at the applications, especially the shortlisted ones. And honestly, we had to really tweak our process because when we first shortlisted, according to our scoring system, we had 100 people on the shortlist. I was like,
Wow.
you can't do that. It was so good. And so we had to like hone it in more. And even then, that was, yes, the surprise is this: there's no surprise that Black and brown women are doing such incredible things with zero. Like they're to be able to have such a big vision, knowing that you're not going to get funded, you don't have any funding, you have to fight for funding, is extraordinary,
Mm.
and it's heartbreaking at the same time.
It is, and it shouldn't be that way, and but it is, and we appreciate women like you who are coming on the scene and saying enough is enough.
Yeah, because it is. Because why should it? When are we gonna? When would we? When were we going to say enough is enough? When was
Mm.
it going to be? So,
That's a question that I don't think either one of us can answer.
when was it going to be? It's going to be now.
Mm.
Yeah.
We're talking about your initiatives, we're talking about your legacy, we're talking about leadership, we're talking about you building ecosystems. But I want to kind of take it back to you because people know you as Nanna Saoirse Soenya, but
Yeah.
that is your chosen name.
That's my chosen name. Yeah.
And you,
Yeah, I changed my name in 2007.
what led you to change your name? And do you want to share your original name with us?
Sure. It's very Ghanaian. What led me to change my name is I never felt that the name I was given was me,
Right.
first of all. And then I found out that my father, bless his heart, rest in peace, blah, 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 gave me the name of an aunt of his, right? He didn't actually give me my own name. He didn't.
Okay.
And also, not only that, for the first 3 months that I was born, he wasn't in Ghana and they couldn't name me. So I had no name. I had some
Oh, wow.
nickname for the first 3 months of my life. So I was like, that's disrespectful. So, I will not keep this name. And but also the meanings of the name. I mean,
Mm.
my Ghanaian name is Nanna as well, but it had one N instead of two N's that I have now, right? And the one N and the Nanna one N, they call somebody who's elderly or respected in Ghana, or a king or a queen or a prince, Nana. And Nana is a name lots of people have in Ghana, you know,
Right.
like oh yeah, everybody has a name, or even I don't know, some other name that is very like John. But it wasn't because of that, it was because of the meaning. And now, so when I was about, I think 24, and previous to that, I had nicknames, so many nicknames. I was called Smiler because I was always smiling. One of the nicknames that I stuck, I was called Portia for a long time. Some of my friends still call me
Okay.
Portia to today. You know, there's a nickname that I had. So I've always grown up with nicknames. But when it came to about 24, I was like, I need a name that describes me,
Mm.
right? So every time it's spoken, it's about me. And Nana with two N's, I found out had a few meanings that resonated with me a lot, because I thought I was going to change my name entirely. And I had a whole bunch of friends. This is back when Google wasn't even didn't even exist. We just literally had the bare bones of the internet. And it was, I started asking them to look. And I think by early 2007, when Google was up, people had started to help me, and they found Nana with two N's, and it has three meanings, right?
Right.
In North Scandinavian, and it has lots of other meanings I found recently, but in North Scandinavian, it means brave.
Right.
And Nana is a Norse name, is a Scandinavian name. Norwegian,
Interesting.
many Norwegian women have the name Nana with two N's, Nanna. In Japanese colloquial language, it's the number seven,
Okay.
right? And then there was another meaning, I forget where it's from, but it was graceful one.
Oh.
So graceful one, I think, I forget if it's Greek or Latin, but the three really spoke to me. Or graceful one, she who holds grace, right?
Mm.
And I
I
was
like
like,
that.
yes, that is me. That is me. And then Saoirse obviously is Celtic for freedom.
Mm.
And there's nobody freer than me. And freedom is something that I fight for consistently, continuously, in every way possible. But in freedom of the mind, not just the, oh, I'm a free spirit. And then Soenya is a compound word. And I created that word. So that's why if anybody copies my name or says they have my name, I'd be like, it didn't exist before me, right?
Uh-huh.
So Soenya is a compound word, is So-en, which is an old Hebrew, not modern Hebrew, old Hebrew of
Mm-hmm.
warrior, right?
Okay.
And Yah is the old, I think that's the Aramaic, Yahweh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Enya, warrior of God. So
So
that's how that happened.
that
Yeah,
is a beautiful name.
thank you. Thank
And
you.
as a chosen name, I can see why you would choose those.
Yeah.
And
So
that's beautiful. Okay. And I'm just gonna stop here because I don't want to bypass this because your hair is a whole different thing. Your hair is in itself. It I remember the first time I saw you on, I think it was either Threads or LinkedIn, and I'm like, ooh. And that made me stop because it was just I'm like, ooh. And then it reminded me of the children from Blood and Bones with the hair because those are the magic users. And if you haven't read the book, I'm sorry if it's spoilers, you should have done by now. And I was like, hmm. So I've been curious about your hair and it's gorgeous. And I'm not going to tell the world what you told me before we started because I'm not going to start that riot.
no. Yeah, I mean, for me, this hair has, like my name, has has sat well with me. And I've always been upset because I was like, I have friends who were like at 7 years old, they started getting gray hair in primary school. And I was like, you're all going to be white haired. And I've always loved the white. I've always loved that.
Right.
I've seen it in film and TV that like mystical beings have white hair. They, even in Wakanda, you know, in Black Panther's mom, she had
Yes.
white hair, right? And I've seen it in other films and other things where the people who are slightly mystical have white hair. And it was never because of that. It was just because it suited me. It just felt right. And so, yeah, I can't imagine myself going through life not having this color hair. I just can't.
It is gorgeous on you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And people, I almost cried when she told me how much it cost for her to create it. I will ask you to DM her and ask her the price because I'm not going to be the one to say it over the internet and have people fight me for it.
Work smart, not hard. That's my motto. Work smart.
I love that. All right. We've been talking about your work being systemic. Your work is about systemic change. It's also deeply personal for you.
Yeah.
And it's when we look at your work, when we look at who you are, when you look at what you are called to do,
Mm.
most of the time people talk about legacy. And this
Mm.
is my legacy. This is that, this is this.
Mm.
What does legacy mean to you when it comes to the communities you serve?
I think when I think of legacy, I think of not what I am remembered for, but it is what I have done for them.
Mm,
They can carry on, right?
mm,
This grant that I created will be going way after I'm not here. I've created it from its inception in a way where it can run in and of itself. It doesn't need someone at the helm continuously. And I think legacy is to be able to look back and go, oh, that thing that was built then, we don't know who started it, but that is what it has done for us.
mm.
We don't, and I think that is because at the end of the day, names are forgotten, people are forgotten. 100 years from now, 100 years ago, almost all the people that lived have no connection to us except for the history that we remember.
Yeah.
But it's really not, for me, it's not about, oh, she did that thing. It's about what it is that it immediately affects people and continues to affect people in a positive way after I'm gone, after I'm not there, after I'm forgotten, after all of that. That's legacy. That's
Mm.
legacy is being able to live in truth as well. The truth of who you are,
Yeah.
truth of what you're doing, not to just wander through life, letting life take you places. We all have, whatever purpose it is, we all have a purpose. Legacy is living in that. So, yeah, I think that's how I see legacy.
And that's a beautiful way to look at it. And may this legacy live on and impact others and other Black and Brown women who are yet to come. And I'm going to say this even in the next breath is that I also wish in the 100 years to come that there is no need for this initiative
Mm,
because we have found equity and we have found parity where we Black and Brown women are equipped and they have access.
yeah. I think it will happen, but not because of equity, but because seats of power will change.
Mm,
Because human beings are human beings. We are who we are.
yes.
So I think, yeah, seats of power are changing and it will happen. But I think it's because something is collapsing, something else will rise. But as human beings, personally, my belief is no matter how hard we work, unless we let go of ego and the innate need to be selfish, there will always be inequality. And so it's always about,
Sadly.
we need to fight that, but it's always about building something else that will tackle the inequality directly whilst that is being dismantled, right?
Mm.
Always about that. That's really important. So yeah, and that's how I build. I don't build thinking one day we won't need this. I build thinking, how can we continue if things do not change?
Mm. That's a good way to look at it. That
Yeah.
is a very good way to look at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a sobering thought,
Mm,
but I love that there are women like you and other women who are putting things in place to support other Black and Brown women
mm.
and is
Yeah.
now global and it's necessary and needed.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my God, 100%. Yeah, so needed.
So
Look at
needed.
last year. I was just, I was like, I don't want to do this. It was needed. It was needed 2 years ago. It was needed 10 years ago. It was, it has been. It's never too late to start. Never too late. But it's needed, and it was needed, and it will be needed for a while.
Yep, and more than ever. I mean, right now, with redundancies across the world, with the big AI is stealing your job, and what was it, 3,000? No, 6,000?
300,000 women,
Yeah,
300,000 African American women.
American women have lost your job.
Yeah, yeah.
In the UK, we're not at those big numbers, but there are job losses. Amazon has announced job losses. Meta is letting go of people again. This is going to be needed because people are going to get to a point where they're like, I need to create something for me that people can't just take away at whim.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. But I also want people to think about the fact that we also need to innovate how we pivot, how we change, how we do, right? We tend to go, okay, I need to build something, but please don't build with nothing.
Mm.
That's oppression in and of itself. Let's take advantage and learn from parts of the world and places where innovation and real entrepreneurial ways of life exist to say, oh, okay, I don't need to start another beauty business. I could start this thing in that place where there is a need that
Yeah.
nobody else is there. And that looking into the sustainability of things is far more important than, okay, I'm just going to start something because I need it. Will this sustain my life? Right? Because what's the point of having the largest group of entrepreneurs growing, which is Black and brown women in the UK, but they don't have money? What is that? Where's that going? What are we doing? Huh? Are we doing?
These are big questions. Maybe you need a masterclass to answer some of them.
Yeah, maybe we just need to sit in a huddle around a nice fire and I'll talk. I
I
like that.
mean, listen, if you want, let's do that. Let's get around the table and let's talk because like you
Yeah.
said, we can't keep building from nothing and we have to learn the art of the pivot, but also we have to also learn the art of when to let go. We also have to learn, you spoke about the fractions and how do we stop being so fractured and how do we actually truly build a community? What does that truly look like? Those are
Yeah.
bigger questions that need to be answered. And
Well,
I think the more,
they have answers. It's just that sometimes when we think about things, we think of it in such a large global scale that we cannot see the immediate steps we need to
mm,
take. Right? That I think that's the big challenge for us here in the UK because we're in such a large system that just keeps rolling that trying to be innovative when you have no money and no access becomes paralyzing because you're like,
yeah,
what do I do? And so then that limits your capacity to really see. It's not because you are limited, it's because the circumstances around you do not give you a space, time, and breath to breathe. So you could be like, oh, okay, I can look there. You're stuck.
yeah,
And that's difficult. I look at it from that place. It's not that they're our community is willingly being like this, but nobody moves anywhere, nobody goes, you're stuck in the same bus route, same train route, same thing, same. It's not going to expand your mind. Same food, same people, same workshops, same masterclasses, same that, same. It doesn't, you know access to knowledge is not necessarily an expansion of mind. And that's what I talk about a lot. Insights. What are insights and how do they help us?
mm,
Knowing a lot, going to a lot of things doesn't help us. Having,
yeah.
you know,
I'm a child of the personal development world. I have learned a lot doing the growth mindset, attending the workshop, and some of those things. And I remember sitting there, and I remember sometimes you listen to some of the speakers, and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. They'll tell you about how they went from bankruptcy to making this multi-million business and being homeless. But what they don't tell you is that they're homeless, but they're living in the west wing of a friend's house, or their mom happened to have over the pool house that was somewhere else they could stay. So they weren't really homeless, homeless. They were, you know,
yeah, they
but
were, yeah, yeah,
but then we hear the story and we how they have filtered it without being totally, they've been economical with the truth of saying, yes, even though I was in debt, I still had money coming in from something, or I had options, or I had somebody supporting me. They're not sharing that part. And you have people going, okay, yeah, so I can do the same thing that they've done in 30 days, like they've done, and I can be on the other side. And then after 30 days investing and doing all the things, and you're still not there, you're like, so I'm the problem?
Yeah.
It's me. Okay, I need to go to another program. I need to do this. And so maybe that's what I'm saying. Like you said, it's not, sometimes it's not the learning, it's not the master classes. Maybe it's a different type of learning to unlearn certain things.
It's a huge unlearning. It's a huge, and it's actually, there's a lot, a lot of stuff we're taught in school. We all look back and go, that was useless. never never use that. The heck? Algebra? Who? You know? There's very few people in this world that need algebra beyond school. And that's interesting, right? Because we get used to, from that age, learning nonsense we will never use.
Yeah.
And it folds into adulthood. So people sell us this snake oil of come to this, do this, do this, do this. And we're like, oh, yes, I got it. I got it. Yes. So I look at my certificate. Yes, yes, yes. But then and as Africans, we love certificates. And
Nana, there's no need to come with the violence now. Why are you doing that? It's too early in the day. Someplace.
someplace, listen, yes, it's always the the earth suffers violence, the violence taken by force. I take it. I'm kidding. No. So, what I'm trying to say is this: acquiring knowledge is not a bad thing.
Yes.
But just like I cannot listen to every single podcast on Apple or Spotify, I need to limit myself to the podcast that will consistently change me, even if
Yes.
it's just one, right? And we have, I don't know, I'm so aware of how much space my brain can hold for life, right?
Yeah.
I'm so aware of it. So when I look at us and I look especially at Black and brown women, and I'm like, what are we doing? There is no way your brain is holding this much information in. There's got to be leakage somewhere.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And so all I want to do is be like, let's strip back, let's hone it in, because it really takes a simple step to change your life. It just takes you opening your eyes and seeing the state of your nature, seeing where you are, reckoning with yourself, going through that painful process, and then being able to take a step. And that's the
Yeah.
hardest part. It's not easy to reckon with ourselves. And we're told, look at yourself, be aware, be aware. I don't want to see myself right now. Right? A lot
Yeah.
of times I just leave me alone. I don't deal. Because are you here? Are you going to be here to hold me? Are you going to drag me up from the pits of hell? No, leave me alone. Right? So it's, I also understand that, because sometimes when people say stuff like I do, we've got to recognize, we've got to do this, they're
Mm.
not saying the hard part. I know it's hard because we don't have time. Like you said, women, Black, we don't have time. We're not given the luxury of resting, of dreaming. We don't
Yeah.
have time. It's struggle. It's the fight. Let's do it. It's today. It's the break, it's the constant, the gaslighting, the microaggressions, the this, the questioning, the hair, the this, the that, your body, your this, are you really capable? Are you this? Did they really mean that? Didn't they? Give me strength.
Yeah.
And then you come home, maybe you don't even have kids, but then you have the parents, and they're like, what are you doing with your life, and this, that, and the other, and who I man, and then there's a guy, and he's like hit me up, and you're like, nah. It's just so much. I just want want us to take note of that. It's a lot.
It's a lot. There's a lot going on.
It's a
And
lot.
I think, yeah, taking that moment to kind of having space to breathe is important.
Yeah, and also just being okay, so what's my next step? Please don't tell me I need to go to another month. I just, just, but just please, I just slip my wrist. And that's all people need. I feel like that's
Mm.
all we all just need. What's the next step, right?
Yeah.
What's the next thing I can do? And I feel like FundHerShip is part of that. What's the next step? right?
Yeah.
This is this is a and it's an easy thing. It's not the next step that now you have to go through all of this process. It's the next step and it's easy. And it does what it says on the tin. It funds her ship.
And that's all we can ask for, and that's a beautiful thing. And so let's kind of wrap this up slowly because I have a couple more questions for you.
Sure.
Um, on the show, we talk about women reclaiming their voice, their story, and space. That space that we've been talking about to breathe.
Mm,
And especially when those things have been withheld or kind of gate kept from us as women. Can
mm,
you share a moment when you truly stepped into your own name, and especially with your journey to claim a name for yourself, when you
mm.
stopped shrinking and began leading fully from your truth?
I will say that it had to do with my age.
Mm,
For me, again, everything is always a process. And I think once I hit about 40, and I stand with the women that say that. In my late 30s, I started to find my voice. I started to find who I was. I've always been outspoken. I've always been very strong in my standards. Nobody can sway me. You can't sway me unless you prove me wrong. And I'm always happy to do that.
mm,
But I think when I got into my late 30s, and especially when I had my son, um, I began to be able to find my voice. I remember when I was about 34, I couldn't say the things I wanted to say. I found myself stifled. And I think it was a process because in my 20s are, just let them go. It's all right. They happened. And then in your 30s, you begin to recognize, you begin to I also realized, and I have to say this, and I don't want to go off on a tangent, but I also realized it's your neurological development,
mm,
right? There were so many things I wanted to say no to at 30, I just couldn't, and I didn't understand why. I didn't understand why, and I now I understand it's just a part of development
mm,
that you get to a place if you are aware enough, if you are conscious enough, and you're walking through it enough that you are able to say, I am Nana. I sit with Nana. I am who I am. And as a woman, even at this age, I have people telling me who they think I am.
mm,
And I'm like, anyway. So yeah,
mm,
I think it has been a journey. And today, if somebody, my voice, my name, my thoughts are so clear, I do not doubt myself, not because I think I know all, but I do not
mm.
doubt who I am. One of the tools that helped me is I journal my whole life. And one of the things I said to myself is I journal to remember who I am, right?
That's
Because people
beautiful.
are always going to come and tell you who they think you are, what they think you should be doing, and how they think you should be behaving. And yeah, once I began to go into 40, I wasn't afraid anymore to always stand in me. Sometimes I'd be shy about it back in the day, but now I'm not shy about standing in me at
Right.
all. Yeah, yeah. It's for me, it's been a process. There's everything in my life has never had just like that one moment.
Mm.
It's always been a journey, culmination of things. Yeah.
Well, it's a journey, and it's that life journey. And when you're looking at your journey, and I know that you came into your own in your 40s, and we won't talk about the 20s, but if you look at where you are now,
Yeah.
how far you have come, what would you whisper, shout to your 18-year-old self over there? What would you tell her?
I laugh because, oh gosh, I would tell her, you need to shut up and listen. I would tell her, a lot of people say this and it's true. I listened a lot to older people. That's one thing I had. I was like, I don't want to make the same mistakes everybody else is making. I want to learn, right?
Mm,
But I still made a lot of mistakes. But the one thing I would say to her that's encouraging, apart from shut up and listen, because I think that's really encouraging as well. You shut up. Some people allow young people to say too much, too much. Your brain hasn't developed enough for you to have full thoughts. Shut up. So sorry, I'm not sorry. I would also tell her that she is loved.
Mm.
She is loved. And not loved because people are showing her love, but because she is worthy of it. She always has been, she always will be. And I think one of the things that me as a young woman went through is I didn't think I was worthy of love, of
Mm.
being loved. And I was always loved. I didn't appreciate who loved me and how they loved me, but I was always loved, always loved. Um, And so, yeah, I think that's one thing I would definitely say to myself. And after a few slaps in the face,
We'll call them love taps. How about that?
just not, just shut up and listen. Oh God.
Okay. And I think that in itself is that shut up and listen is so that you can hear what others have to say. And the fact that piece about worth and that worthiness and that you are loved, I
Mm,
think is a message not just for your 18-year-old self, but I think it for especially Black and brown women, we
mm,
need to hear that. We need
mm.
to know that. And it's truly important because it affects us deeper than we know.
Yeah, yeah.
It affects us deeper than we know. And so I'm going to ask you this question. What are the truths or tools that you have in your back pocket that you think that will help women lead as their most authentic and unapologetic selves?
The two truths.
Yes, or tools that you have in your back pocket.
I think the first, the first is work to know yourself honestly,
Mhm.
right? If it Imagine you in your field of self-development, you know what you know. Somebody comes up to you and talks some rubbish about what you know, you can say to them, that is rubbish.
Yes.
A lot of times, what we do not do is allow ourselves to examine ourselves and be honest with ourselves, right? That is huge. And that is one of the things that I walk with all the time. It's not like, oh, self awareness, this, that, and the other. No, I sit. One of the things I used to do with my friends, they hated this. I don't do this anymore. But I'd ask them for an annual assessment of my life.
Okay.
Can you please tell me, especially the things that I need to work on, the things that you saw that I said that I didn't do, all of those things. And they hated it. They absolutely hated it because they knew I needed to hear the truth. And so they'd write a big paragraph. Nana, I love you. I care. This is nothing. Us, we're still friends. This, that, and the other. They'd caveat that, and then they'd write what they were. And even though I knew that, as I was reading, I'd be like, well, I don't know, she says that, but she does this. And I really, like, I'd go through the process. But I'd read it. And after that whole self-defensiveness, it really helped me look at things in myself. If you have a bunch of women who are mature enough, love you enough to help you do that without tearing you down,
Mm.
I recommend all women to do that with their friends. Not for a long period of time because it's really wearing and taxing, and you have to go into things, right? But for a brief time, just to help you gain that capacity to access yourself. And I think number two, for me, the journaling has been huge.
Mm.
Journaling, why? Because my journaling isn't just about, oh, I had a nice day today, this, that, and the other. I pour out my thoughts, my reasonings, my whys, and I write them so that I can look back and go, oh, that's what you were thinking there, and then what were you doing? I think that the inner work of understanding yourself. And sorry, I'll add a third one. Aligning yourself to the life that you are living.
Expand, please.
I, for many years, thought my life would be different.
Right.
And my life kept turning out not that way. And I thought, yeah, my life's gonna be different. It's gonna be different. And it, so far now, scientifically speaking, we have not been able to prove that there's a parallel world where you could have lived another life, right?
Mm.
The life that you have today and all the things that happened were things that were going to happen inevitably. They have happened.
Yes.
So when you look back at that and you have a bit of hindsight that allows you to have foresight, be honest with yourself about the life that you can live.
Right.
But being so friggin' delusionally aspirational, I don't mean I'm a hopeful person, right? I'm a hopeful person. But is it realistic that I will be living in a yacht? I want to. Will I? Most likely not,
I
right?
mean, you know that they say the Lulu is a new true Lulu, so
Lies. Right. Um, listen, we can all we all live on the hopes and dreams of possibility.
Mm.
But what that traps you into is not fully living the life you have right here. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not
Mm.
saying don't hope for the better things. Don't hope for the, but we're always our biggest challenge is being in the now and recognizing what the now looks like and how we live that well now. Align
Yeah.
yourself with the life that you live. And people are like, yeah, fake it till you make it. But that's that's a cognitive dissonance. You don't have to fake it till you make it. You can just align yourself so you can make whatever it is your life is supposed to be,
Yeah.
you know?
I have a problem with fake it till you make it. And believe me, I came from the school of fake it till you make it, till I realized, yeah, it's a problem in itself because you're trying to be something you are not. And like you said, it causes cognitive dissonance and then it causes your nervous system to freak out.
Yeah.
I tend to say act as if you already have it now. And when you act as if it's now, you then are pulling it closer to you. You act confident. You don't fake confidence.
Yeah. Yeah. That. But to be able to do that, you can even go a step further. And instead of acting confident, sit in the truth of why you have every right to be confident.
Mm.
And then that flows easier because acting confident is work. Sitting in truth
True.
is sitting in truth. You don't have to work
Yeah.
on that. That's truth. That's what I know. That's the truth. You know, that's how I see it. I understand what you're saying and I agree. But I'm like, take it a step further. Sit in the truth of it. Get yourself
Yes.
to the place where you sit in that truth. I am confident. I am loved. I am smart. I can do the things that I need to do within my capacity.
Right now. Yes. And if we're using your example is and we talk about confidence, people you can say, okay, I'm confident in XYZ over here, but where I feel confident, less confident over here, I take what that looks like on XYZ and use it there. So you're not just acting like it, you are embodying what you already know.
What you already know. And you're taking actions to do that,
Yeah.
not just saying things to yourself in the mirror.
Nana?
Hi. Oh, yeah.
Hmm. Okay, so to wrap up the show and to close us out, let me ask you what has been bringing you joy lately, even if it's something small or unexpected?
Oh man, I think what brings me the most joy recently has been watching my son.
Mm.
He brings me joy. He brings me so much joy because now he's 7 and he's coherent mostly. And listening to him talk and watching him interact, learn, and tell me about stuff and be passionate about so many things brings me utmost joy. I love
Nice.
watching him grow. I just, yeah, that excites me a lot. Gives me lots of joy. And then also the other thing is seeing women get money. Wow, that's I can't express that feeling.
Nice. Nice. You know what? I have to say, I've enjoyed interviewing you. It has
Oh,
been such a delight and pleasure, and that's brought me joy this evening. You have made me giggle so much before the show started, during, and sharing your truth with us. So I want to say thank you for being on the show.
thank you for having me.
Folks, so if you want to find out more about her, we're going to have her links to her social, to her website. Women, if you meet the criteria of being a Black and brown woman in the UK who has a business, who needs a little bit of space to breathe, and you know that FundHerShip Her could be that breathing space, please apply. It's monthly. Do not hesitate. It's only two questions. You're not being gaslit. And it could be you who will receive that little breath of fresh air so that you can think differently and do the thing that you're here to do. And for that, I want to say thank you for creating that grant. I want to thank you for the work that you're doing. And thank you for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right, folks. So it's a wrap. You know what to do. Like, share, pass it on to your people. You don't want your people to miss out on having access to this show. And if you want to hear more from us, reach out to us on socials. You know where to find us. And you'll be hearing from us soon. Goodbye. Thanks for listening to In Her Own Name. Step into your week lit up, aligned, and fully you. If you are enjoying this podcast, share it with your people. Don't let them miss out. And connect with us on all places social.